Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I'm excited to be bringing in our guest. Okay, I wanted to make sure I got the last name right. Austin Dean. What up, Austin?
Hello. Hey.
Oh my gosh. Go ahead and serenade us, Austin. I'm okay with that. You can totally do that anytime.
Well, then I'm welcome.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, Austin, you are a recording artist and you're going to be featured at this year's Madaraka Festival. Let's hear a little bit about who you are as an artist and what fuels you in your artistry.
Um. Yes. Uh. I was. I don't know if anybody knows about the movie The Great Debaters with Denzel Washington. It was produced by Oprah. It had Nate Parker and Journey Smollett and Forrest Whitaker. Sorry about that. It was called The Great Debaters. I was fortunate enough to be a great debater at Wiley College, the HBC, the Historical Black College University, and I was able to go on a full ride scholarship, and I broke the record in national championships for speech and debate. I have 21 national championships in speech and debate, and that has a big form on what I do as far as storytelling and music. I got my dual MFA in playwriting and screenwriting and acting for the stage and screen at the University of Arkansas, where I won Best One-Man Show off Broadway with my first play, Island Trap, the epic remixology of Homer's Odyssey. And now I'm getting my PhD in Interdisciplinary Fine Arts. And I just released my debut album. And I get to do some
Woo.
of the songs for the first time at the festival, at the Madaraka Festival, and I'm going to Seattle for the first time. So I'm really excited. I'm a PhD student right now, currently at the moment, and I'm going on a national tour. And my next stop is Seattle. I'm so happy to be at the festival, especially with the focus on instrumentations and music.
Oh my goodness. Look at all that mouthful, Austin. I mean, you've been doing the work, and that's what I really enjoy learning from our guests right here is how they've been so plugged in into whatever it is that they do. What is it that fuels you when it comes to the transformation between speech and debate and your music?
Um, I have to say one of the biggest things that fuel me has to be my community. Um, I have no manager, I have no agent, I'm not signed, I have no label, I have no studio. I just have a really awesome community that I was able to build from speech and debate. Where I'd be around, I'd just be playing music on the ukulele, a little bit of just like in between rounds we would practice and I'd work on songs and people really like them. And I think it's a lot of people from speech and debate that are also coming to just see like my regular like music shows or my theater shows. I think that's also a big part of what fuels me is knowing that I have support from like genuine people who I know. Um, so just I'm just really excited to see them again and say thank you for planting the seed in me. Um, our friends always just tell me like, keep going. I really appreciate your song, or thank you for sharing your energy with me so much. And people continuously like support me, even though I don't have like a big manager or agent or a label. I feel fully supported. So I think one of the things that fuel me is just growth. I'm so excited to grow. Like I'm so excited that my first project ever dropped out. I've been doing music since I was like 11 years old. I just turned 31, so it took me about 20 years to make this one project, and it's going really good because it's also part of my dissertation for my PhD. So I think one of the things that fuel me is to allow people who look like me to remember that we are multi-hyphenate, we are polymath, we are Renaissance people, and you can do a multitude of things. And I hope that I'm really fueled by what I can possibly become by the time I'm at the age of 60 or 70. Even when I was playing the ukulele or singing songs, like it's cool now, but I'm really excited about my growth. I think that's one of the things that fuel me is the possibilities and how far I've came and how supportive my community is.
You know what? I think you're so right in terms of supportive community. I feel that love right here throughout King County and Seattle and beyond. I really do. And so I resonate so much with the message of you building something. How important is it for you? Because I know artistry is now taking on new forms in the last decade, 2 decades when it comes to digitization. So, how are you able to utilize some of the digital platforms to keep your audience engaged with all of the amazing things you're doing?
I just also want to say your questions are so phenomenal. Thank you so much. It's like, let's celebrate this black woman for a second. Thank you so much. That was a great question. Very, very pivotal. One of the cool things for my dissertation that I've been working on is my dissertation argument is to reverse the transatlantic slave trade using verse-based stories so the oppressed can reclaim their power because black reality is often rooted in oppression. So we must look at black fiction. And one of the big arguments I have for Hamilton was they also used an Afrocentric technique, such as rap, and they didn't highlight Afrocentric characters. But even if you were able to see Hamilton, you probably couldn't afford it because it was like $1,500 if you had the money. So when the pandemic happened, I started working on my dissertation, which is an audio drama that's 23 original songs, 44 different voiceover actors, but it's pure sonic. And so I was able to do with this application called Clubhouse, a social audio app towards pure voice, pure sound. And I was actually able to go on that application, meet a lot of cool people, and play a lot of my music there live, and do a lot of my one-person shows there live, and play games like rap monologues and lyric debates, and we're doing one of them later today. Um, and also just go through. I did a digital tour on there, digital world tour. So the same thing that I'm doing now that I'm visiting Seattle in person is I was able to digitally go to places like the Philippines, Germany, Italy, Paris, Nigeria, Kenya, London, Brazil, Colombia, Japan, China, all these places digitally through these different rooms that they had. And I would do my music and do my tour purely be sonic in the pandemic. And that allowed me to have so many relationships and to continue my work as an artist because now I can still do the storytelling that I'm doing. I can still do the music that I'm doing. It's just that you can't see me. And that's really, I appreciate that because sound also, doesn't get its full credit on what that can design. We used to love radio plays. We used to love listening to the radio, and even we used to listen to sports on the radio. Our ears are really, really keen. So I think through that social audio app of Clubhouse, it actually grew my following quite big, to the point now and when we're going to Seattle and we do the gig, the tour that I'm on now, it's half digital, half physical. So when I'm in Seattle doing the Madaraka Festival, I'm going to be on Clubhouse at the same time so people could listen to it. So all those people, so they won't have fear of missing out. If they can't be there physically, they can still just listen. So I think digital plays a really, really big facet to what I'm doing. How I think a lot of artists are innovating and finding their ways to be able to still feel like they're doing live performance or collaborating in groups. The only reason I like the sound is because I don't have to like get all dressed and stuff. I could just be walking around doing whatever and be on the app on about my day. And still creating and still making connections. So that's how like the digital realm has changed like my education as far as school, but also it's developed into my artistry as well. And now it's really cool because now I've been able to find a way to do them both simultaneously at the same time to where I can do live and digital events. So even if somebody's really, really digging what I'm doing in like Japan and we're doing Seattle, they can still listen from wherever they're at and still not feel like they're completely missing out. And I don't think I would have really had a focus on that or even have really knocked out the entire audio drama for my dissertation if I also wasn't thinking about the disparities. Because when we talk about digital, a lot of people also don't notice. I mean, I don't mean to make a shift this way, but a lot of black people don't have the same opportunities when things come digitally, whether you're talking about Instagram or Clubhouse or TikTok. The visibility and equity doesn't always exist, but at the same time, it does give some people pockets and opportunity. So I'm just trying to find a way to continue to be creative and innovative while still building with my community. I know that was a really, really long answer, but I hope it was helpful.
No, but it was so on point because you're absolutely right. I mean, my questions may be good, but your answers are equally good or better because really you're giving us a full throttle of who you are and how you're bringing your artistry to bear. I mean, Madaraka Festival, this is going to be huge because, again, as the commercial indicates, it's first outdoor concert festival. I mean, this is really going to be so big for us up here in Seattle. And as we were talking before the show started, your first time in Seattle, I know you're like, hey, I need to touch down. I need to know where my people are. What are some of the things that maybe you've already researched that you're just like, you know what? I can't wait to just get down there. I know you said we're mythical creatures in terms of black community up here in Seattle, but there's a lot of great things that are moving here. And when we talk about even looking at some of the protests that really was sparked last summer, Seattle was one of those places on the map that constantly had people in the streets, and we stayed out for a really long time, and it was a lot of great energy. And there's been so much momentum from that has merged into these amazing movements up here. And so, music is one of those things. Artistry is another. When we talked about, visual art, that kind of happened during the protest zones in the CHOP era, right here on Capitol Hill, occupied protest. That there was so much explosion of folks coming out, bands coming out, artistry coming out. How do you blend the two in terms of that messaging that you were talking about, with the oppressed becoming the triumphant ones throughout your artistry? Because I know I've been seeing it, so much here in Seattle as well.
I'm so glad that you articulated that as well as you did. Phenomenal work every single time. Uh, I have to acknowledge one. I just got put on the game by y'all right before. I did not know Jimi Hendrix is y'all's. That's one that's almost like a silver bullet, right? You almost don't have to say anything else besides that. And then on top of that, y'all got Quincy Jones. That's like another like really huge like silver bullet. And then the one that threw me for the left was Bruce Lee. I was like, oh my god, just those three alone. Also, when I just think of like mindset and creative and how the even when I think of those three individuals and how they go to the beat of their own drum, completely shifted. Not only and all, I think to me, I think all of them are definitely like multi hyphenate and definitely like aware. When you think of like the legacy that Quincy Jones has, oh my goodness, and that legacy also does stem like beyond music and it goes into production and it also stems into other art forms. One of the things that I think I do love about Seattle is I've always known about the advocacy, and I used to do Brave New Voices youth poetry, and some of the best poets were coming from Seattle. And I
Yeah,
used to compete with
yeah.
them when I was like 15, 16, 17 years old. So that was kind of my first connection to like the spoken word artistry that was coming from Seattle. And I also remember I only got introduced to Reggie Watts, who I think is so dope, through the Seattle scene, because what Reggie was doing was so different between like the live music and the voices and like the comedy and also playing an instrument and making that into a full live performance. And I think that type of exploration I never came across until people from Seattle were telling me about Reggie Watts. And also there's a lot of modern art comes out of Seattle. Really, really good, like the the physical art pieces, whether it's painting or whether it's sculptures. I've always known about like the how high level the artistry is in Seattle. I will say I'm excited to be more educated about the black parts of the arts movement in Seattle, because I've seen some people who've like won awards and stuff, but I've never just been able to be in the community because I know the heart is right, the advocacy that people have, the protests that people have, and how community oriented they are. From the Bay Area, we're like kind of related in a weird way. No offense to Portland, and uh, I think I'm really excited to just engulf myself in the culture in a multitude of ways. I know it probably sounds simple, but I know I gotta go to like the barber shop or see what the museums are hitting for, or I definitely have to go out there dancing because dancing is such a big part of the culture. And from what I'm hearing, y'all have so many of those things. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to slide them all in a weekend, but I'm gonna do the best I can with the best with the best that is possible. Um, I think the way that that relates to the type of music or the type of things I create is with having a speech and debate background, advocacy and community and black art are such a big focus, if not the thesis to the arguments of anything that I create. Um, so when I think of all of those artists, all those people who are influential to me, or I think about the city being influential to me, I'm excited because it feels like a first date to someone who has told you about someone before. The type of artistry that comes out of Seattle, I know it's one that's extremely expressive, but it's also one that's not like easily to categorize. One of the things I like about getting my degree in interdisciplinary fine arts is I have no problem with like one discipline, but I have an interest in multiple disciplines. And very few places integrate a lot of disciplines into like a singular art form that I can grasp into. And Seattle is one of those places that have a lot of great interdisciplinary fine artists and multidisciplinary fine artists. So it's going to be people who are mixing like the verse-based storytelling in the theater. Like hip hop theater is not new to something like Seattle. There's going to be people who are mixing like the sculptures and like the different type of worlds together that we can discipline. So that's why I think it's good for me, and that's why I'm really really excited because
Well,
There's so many of y'all who do so much stuff there. Like I want to get in the cipher. I want to get in
Yeah.
the mix.
We're going to have to make sure we take you all around Austin. You'll have a great tour guide with us over here. I know Cuddy's hit, man. Cuddy knows about some spots. We're going to have to make sure you get plugged in. And, I gotta make sure our audience can get a little snippet about what they can actually experience when they get down there to the Madaraka Festival. So I want to give you a moment to share a little bit. I heard you beatboxing earlier. You know what I mean? We want to give you a little bit of time to maybe share some artistry that you're going to be able to put down on that stage.
All right, you asked for it. Let's get it. Oh, don't mess with my spirit, y'all. You can't touch my soul. Nah. I was born to go get it, get it. I was born to go get it. Whoop, there it is. Yo. There's energy in this energy, so don't mess with my melody. I get it, it's a situation. But you can't touch my situation, cause I illuminate and illustrate. So don't debate on what you see when it goes shake. For critics say, I be in the paint. What Chamberlain? No chains on me. That chain gang gon' rip the spleen. Squad up, got us. So make noise and be unique. Never lack. Bump that my rap smack and bat when I slap back. Ain't a cap, take the track from laps and you casting the half. Gonna snap back when I yak my bar shack. Kidnap, green stacks, ooh, we can green back. I need that back to back, like the lamp, sharp attack, tic tac, spit facts, I'm on the map. Did you catch that when I switch that? I'm trapped with that, and better back in the tracks for the track. I'm back and crack. That do rap, wiggity whack. Got eight like a sniggity stack. She break like a kickity cat. My shot, oh, man, trouble. Don't mess with my spirit, no. You can't touch my soul. I was born to go get it. I was born to go get it. Whoop, there it. Hopefully see you at the Madaraka Festival. And, my name is Austin Dean Ashford, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh my God, Austin Dean Ashford. You had me and Cuddy over here like, hey, I'm about to go get it.
Hey,
I'm
let's
with
go.
it all the way. I'm with it all the way, man. We so appreciate you, and it's going to be great for you to bring your energy, your artistry right here to Seattle at the Madaraka Festival. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and giving us a little bit of your time. Hope you have safe travels, man, getting here, and we'll make sure we get in touch with you, man, because we want to show you around, show you some of the Black Seattle that you are demanding for. So yes, absolutely. You're phenomenal. Thank you so much for being with us on the Morning Update Show today.
Thanks, y'all. Take care.
You guys heard it right there from Austin Dean Ashford, man. Woo, Cuddy. I mean, it's just me and Cuddy now in the studio, but we was over here like, hey. And I just got to say, man, every guest that we are having come on this week from the Madaraka Festival is infusing Black pride, Black love in their pieces. And I love that so much. So I don't know about y'all, but I know that I'm trying to figure out a way to make sure I am there for the Madaraka Festival. It looks like it's going to be lined up with so many amazing artists. And not just artists, but amazing messages. So I hope you guys enjoyed Austin Dean Ashford. It looks like we're going to be able to learn a little bit more about him when he comes here for this festival.